getting somebody that can die very easily, but he is more flexible in learning black magic than, say, a red mage. So if there are some good spells at level 5 and 6, the flexibility of having that black mage will pay off.
And it looks like those black mages are going to have Fire 3 and Lightning 3 right off the bat to deal with, as well as on the white magic side, we see Life right off the bat for the white magic user. That's a huge help to runners right at the beginning of the game.
Let's not sleep on Soft's availability either, especially in the early game. That will pay off with soft potions typically being very expensive.
Philes elects to do a little bit of shopping. Looks like houses are available at about $1,500 a pop, which is a little bit on the inexpensive side. That'll be nice, and that'll allow our runners to have their magic recharges and a little discount off the normal price. DD Gaming a little bit ahead on his first encounter. Goes ahead and takes care of the imps. In this round 2 seed, for those of you watching, our enemies out in the field can have shuffled spells and shuffled skills, but not their scripts. And so anything that's in the vanilla game that you are used to seeing, casting a spell or using a skill, might have something unexpected. It probably will have something unexpected. But these imps or the wolves, our Rururus, won't have anything special in this round.
Also nice to see some tents available. That will mean both runners will be able to save outside of the Temple of Fiends.
And Philes is off to the races, heading north to go visit Garland in the Temple of Fiends with DD Gaming right behind him. Philes elected to run from his encounter. DD Gaming elected to take his. That's a little bit of a difference in their approach or strategy so far. And then we're going to take a look at these first 3 chests inside Temple of Fiends on the left side that are unlocked by the Mystic Key. And wouldn't you know it, there's the TNT, the first progression item, is already on the board for Philes. We'll see if DD Gaming checks them as well. The TNT is the first progression item needed in order to unlock the progress out of this inner sea. We'll be handing that over to the dwarf shortly. With an early TNT like this, Edgeworth, that probably means that Marsh Cave is going to be off the table for a while?
Yeah. And typically in round 2, and less so in round 2, but in round 3, Marsh Cave can be particularly brutal. I know we have quite a few racers right now that are dealing with a Marsh Cave that is just one of the nastiest that I've ever seen. And typically because of the high ambush rates in that area, you want to avoid it until much later in the game, if possible. So good move for both runners to avoid it, in my opinion.
And Philes takes down Garland quite easily. DD Gaming is taking on the first mini-boss of the game himself at this point. Both party compositions for our runners today are identical. They both had to use the Black Mage and have done so, but then they both also decided to run with a fighter, a Black Belt, and a White Mage. You think that's a pretty standard party composition?
I think this is the safest party composition. It allows you the most flexibility with access to magic and access to the 2 different strategies of distributing experience evenly over your party and power leveling the Black Belt. So I believe this is the most flexible party that you can have in the randomizer.
Ali Gerbrap, if I'm saying that correctly in chat, is asking whether or not Ice Cave or Ordeals is incentivized. In this seed, no, neither of those semi-optional dungeons are incentivized in this round of the tournament. We may see our runners go there in that general direction anyway, depending on how the progression items shake out. But we have not checked those boxes to force something interesting to be in those dungeons tonight.
And both of our runners making it across the Bridge of Text at roughly the same time.
So this is the part where you just hammer on the A button and try to get through as quickly as possible. Philes elects to, looks like he elected to drop a tent right there. So we tend to see some runners do this just to have a safe point to warp back to if Matoya up here with her 3 chests don't have anything interesting. Now with the TNT found, what do we think they're looking for up here? Probably just ribbons or some sort of a nice piece of equipment, correct?
What I would be looking for most of all is a large amount of money or something that I could sell for a large amount of money. Equipment is nice, but what I'm really looking for is the ability to buy spells in Provoca and Elfland,
Okay.
and the 3 tiers of spells that can get really expensive.
As it is, they did find the gold bracelet, and the gold bracelet is super nice to have, especially for those 2 squishy mages. We saw Philes drop his right on his black mage to help protect that, as you said, that more brittle character, especially here at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I would be tempted to sell the gold bracelet, but I think it's just too good early. That is a piece of equipment that you can use throughout the entire game.
So in these round 2 flags, our enemies out in the field can be spun up with skills and spells and statistics between 71% and 140% of their original totals. 71% is nice. 140%, though, at this round of the tournament, you will really start to notice if a stronger enemy or a boss has been generated at that percentage level. You'll start seeing them dodging attacks more. You'll start seeing their absorb levels be much higher. And as the game continues, that's when you start to watch these runners to determine how they're going to counter something like that. They both have black belts, and so that might be one of their key strategies through getting some of those bosses that might be a little more difficult than normal.
And I think Philes will be considering the power level strategy very strongly. I've seen a few of his practice races, and he has employed that strategy, so I think he's just been testing it out to take into a tournament race. Life 2, Cure 3, and Invis 2 in the White Magic shop, so...
It's a really nice magic shop.
And Warp in the Black Magic shop.
Also, Bane in the Black Magic shop can be useful every once in a while. It is nice, I think you'd agree with me, Edge, to at least buy something to keep those exit spells and those warp spells off of the first slot in each level, just to guard against accidental clicking, especially since once you click them, you're done, and you can't X back out of it.
That's something that I never do, but I feel I should add it into the way that I play. It's a great idea, and it allows you to menu much quicker than you normally would. It's like fast pirate fights for both players. Black Mage getting the jump on them early.
Yep, and it looks like we're pretty much neck and neck through receiving the ship. What we saw in this first match before Philes had an untimely blue screen of death was they went through some slight route divergences once they got out of Provoca. With the TNT found, we will have to see if either of them want to dive into Marsh early to go ahead and check out those 10 chests. Probably pretty unlikely that we'll see anybody do that. So it looks like they're going to be pretty much on each other's tails here, getting out of this Inner Sea and over to Melmond and the rest of the game.
It looks like both of them have finished shopping and they're on their way.
Omacia, you missed, I think, in the Black Magic side, you missed Fire 3 and Lightning 3. Bane and Warp have been found. And on the white magic side, Life and Life 2 have been found, as well as Invis 2. And there might have been a different one, but that was pretty much about it. Both of them going to go apparently check out Elfland. Elfland has both level 3 and level 4 magic shops available, as well as an item shop where a bottle might be hiding. DD Gaming is going to go ahead and take a peek at the weapon shop and sell off some swords.
It looks like the rune sword you picked up earlier did not roll very high, so may not be able to afford level 4 magic at this point.
Philes treating us to the sound of someone being poisoned. Ice 3 was in the level 3 black magic shop. Looks like some harm spells were available in the white magic side.
Heal 2, also a nice to have, but not required. We have Wall in the level 4 magic shop on the white side, and Fast available in the black magic shop. So it looks like DD Gaming's is going to do a little bit of fundraising.
And I from my experience, you found no nuke spell and you found no fade spell. And so while those two spells are missing, I would say through the first 4 levels, the magic availability is pretty high. And I would be pretty happy with everything I found so far.
Yeah, I would be very happy too. There is... it may feel bad not to have access to one of those 2 powerful spells, but you do still have access to all 3 of the strongest elemental AoE spells, and that should cover you for most of the enemies you're going to face.
And so what our runners might be looking for here in Melmond and beyond is the Temper spell is still outstanding to find, especially for that Black Mage to go ahead and give some buffing abilities to a fighter or a Black Belt. That would be useful before they head on over into the Volcano, perhaps. Nuke and Fade are both still missing as well. But the pickup of the Wall spell, I particularly love that spell because it sort of decouples your need to find those 3 ribbons.
Both of those spells are very good for playing it safe. And I'm sorry, I said Wall. Both of those spells, I was thinking of A-Rub as well. If you can get one or the other, they deliver a lot of protection against the nastiest things that you typically don't have armor resists for.
DD Gaming finding the floater hiding in the dwarves, and so we're assuming Philes will pick that up as well. That's our second progression item in short order. And Edge, this is starting to look like it's going to be a fast seed.
Well, we found out who has Death Touch. It's the Asps.
So the fighter does a face plant, but with access to life and life too, it's just a flesh wound, and he'll be right back. So the floater appears almost before we've gone into any dungeon. We have 2 progression items, and so we may delay our visit to the volcano here and go flying around the world, opening some other chests. Yeah.
I would like that play. From what I've seen so far in the chests that the players have opened, I still wouldn't feel very comfortable with the equipment that I have. The gold bracelet was nice, but there haven't been any really strong weapons or items with strong effects attached to them. And so opening the chests in Titan's Tunnel and Cardia Islands is a good move in my opinion.
DD Gaming with a slight lead, 15 minutes into this seed, is about to head westward over to Crescent Lake to pick up his canoe, at which point the floater can be traded in. Philes not far behind him at all, and will be on his way shortly as well. Macia, to answer your question in chat, our forced party member for this seed is the Black Mage. And after that was forced, we saw both of our runners go with the same party composition. Silver bracelets found at 5,000 apiece. Probably a little too rich for where they landed and the amount of money that our runners have. Otherwise, that is usually a nice piece of equipment to pick up early here in the game.
Looks like Philes found a pretty nice part of the encounter table. Sailed through most of the ocean on the way to Crescent Lake, free and clear.
And so in these round 2 seeds, for those of you watching, the random encounter table, or the RNG as we call it, has been shuffled for this round of the tournament. And so if you're used to counting your steps in vanilla Final Fantasy, that's not going to work for you here. Philes finds a pack of PEDs, or EXPEDs as we call them.
And if he can take these guys down, it'll be totally worth it. But it looks like they've rolled a little bit high on the HP side.
Bottle detected in Crescent Lake. The bottle contains the fairy, which will be required to cash in at Gaia in order to get into the Sea Shrine, Kraken's required dungeon. That came into this randomizer at the maximum, 65,000 gold. And so our runners are nowhere near that, won't be picking that up anytime soon.
So we have Cure 4 in the level 6 white magic shop, and nothing particularly exciting in the black magic shop.
DD Gaming, clinging to I would call it a 1 or 2 encounter lead at this point, has his canoe and remembers he has the warp spell and warps immediately back out. So that's a time saver. And now he's headed southward to go ahead and cash in his floater so that he can grab his airship.
And Philes is picking up some very much needed levels here with back-to-back 4 times PEDs encounters.
And DD Gaming takes to the skies, immediately heads over to Gaia, and then decides to change his mind. Since he doesn't have any money, he really can't buy anything there anyway. It looks like he's going to go check the chests in the Cardia Islands first.
A good move, although I think... Ooh, finds the crown.
Wow, here we go. So for those of you watching at home, that is the 3rd progression item in 18 minutes in this seed. Technically, all our runners would need now, in order for a go mode, is to find the slab in one of these randomized chests. Of course, they have a lot to do before they could go finish the game, but that is really the one treasure chest item we're still looking for at this point. So let's see here. So the crown is now open. That opens up a whole host of other chests, Edge.
Yeah, and I think I would go for all of them. You might as well find whatever equipment you can before going into a dungeon. So DD Gaming finds a ribbon, and that's exactly the type of thing I would be looking for. Having a ribbon before starting any potential power level is exactly what you want. Makes it so much more safer.
So if the Cardia Islands explored for DD Gaming, he's immediately going to head south. And let's see if he goes... Looks like he's going to go visit our old friend Astos, who of course wants the crown. DD Gaming's a little low-leveled for this fight, so this is not a 100% win for him.
No, it'll be interesting to see if Astos rolled anything particularly nasty on the fight. And just a physical attack, so the spell list seems a little kind. Meanwhile, Philes fighting more PEDs, and he is going to have a significant level advantage after this.
Yep, a level advantage, but not a progression advantage at this point. And so we see our runners taking slightly different approaches, as we see the door hack there from DD Gaming. DD Gaming going to go ahead and continue with the crown shuffle. Philes is perfectly content to go ahead and reset the table and take those Pete's encounters.
And we'll see where Philes decides to go with the airship. Looks like he's headed towards Titan's Tunnel.
So a mystic key acquired for DD Gaming. He's going to have to start thinking about where he's been and where he hasn't to make sure he doesn't miss anything at this point. The game opened up way wider than usual. Philes on the left-hand side of your screen is about to start looking at the chests in the Titan's Tunnel.
Nothing notable in the Elfland treasury. And the Titan didn't have very much to care about either.
DD Gaming, now with a little bit more money, is going to do some shopping, buying some houses, which will help recharge his magic. And he is making good use of that warp spell edge.
Yeah, and now, especially with the houses, he can recharge that and not have to stop at an inn. Philes will find the crown soon enough. Meanwhile, DD Gaming picks up the defense sword, a very, very nice, useful item, and the white shirt.
White shirt is great. Casts Invis 2 as an item and can be used by any member as an item. So you don't have to rely on your white mage to cast that Invis 2 spell. Meanwhile, Philes is closing in on the crown here. DD Gaming warps back out, and we'll see where he heads next.
And now Philes has his one ribbon, and that's going directly on the white mage. Looks like DD is going to check the locked chests in Temple of Fiends.
I do like DD Gaming's routing so far in this. I know he hasn't done a whole lot of fighting in this so far, but he's being hyper efficient about where he goes and when he goes there, and is working his way westward across the continent here, one spot after the next. If he continues this trend, he may go Northwest Castle after this.
And now Philes has a crown and a decision to make.
So, chat, with all of this excitement opening treasure chests, we have one more progression item hiding out there somewhere, the slab. You have any predictions as to where you think the slab is hiding tonight?
I think slab and ordeals would be the roughest for both of our runners. You typically don't want to check ordeals when you have access to the airship. Nobody likes that long walk.
So we're checking the Dwarf Cave treasure trove now. There's an opal shield, which might be helpful if we find a class change at some point. Other than that, though, just a whole bunch of money and some lower level equipment. DD Gaming will immediately equip that silver bracelet, but the slab is still yet to be found.
And we'll see what Astos was hiding. A house, a cabin, and a black shirt. Black shirt, very nice to find before the volcano.
Yeah, and it's useful in other dungeons too. I like using it in the Sea Shrine to help some of my characters take down those waters.
It's very nice as a follow-up item against waters in both the Sea Shrine and the Temple of Fiends Revisited, in case that nuke charge didn't quite finish them off.
So DD Gaming is done searching the overworld and has gone into his first fiend dungeon. He chose the volcano to go into first. I don't believe he checked the Titan's tunnel, and I don't believe he's collected the rod yet either. And so he may route his way back to do those at another time. So Chitin's 619 in the in chat asks, anything threatening that can be horrible so far? And Edge, that's probably a good question for me to ask you at this point. Now that we're in a dungeon, and especially since it's the volcano, what enemy types in here are we particularly concerned about?
You're looking for anything that had a spell or skill list, and the volcano is very full of those. Fortunately, DD's been running into these peds, but Sphinxes on the first floor, the Argoyles, Paralisks on the second floor, Agamas, Wizogres, Cerebus. There's just a whole lot of nasty stuff, or things that could potentially be very nasty in the volcano. And so it's very important for runners to exit or warp out and save their progress every once in a while.
So DD Gaming makes it into the first treasure room here in the volcano. There's about a dozen chests here for him to check. Still looking for a slab as our last progression item. And he goes ahead and lunges over to the Grey Worm. For the question by Oli BP in chat, whether or not DD Gaming is ahead, he's slightly ahead in time and probably slightly behind in levels at this point, which should be a wash when we all come down to it.
Although with these Pede fights, I think DD is pulling very even. I don't think Philes took any profitable encounters on the Cardia Islands. There are groups of, I think, 3 Wyverns or 3 Manticores that provide almost as good experience as the Peds. Oh, but DD's gonna have to go through this the hard way with 2 of his characters down, or 1 of his characters down.
We'll see whether or not he resurrects his Black Mage. I'm sure he will. He has access to the life spell afterwards. But these Peds are proving stubborn. That Black Mage was super useful for their AoE spells. He's having to just punch these things to death now.
It looks like the white shirt saved the black belt's life, and that's good. This fight would have been almost useless to take if the black belt wasn't alive. And that's with the assumption of pursuing a power leveling strategy, of course.
And DD Gaming picks his Black Mage up off the turf and is going to do a little bit of healing. We'll see whether or not he elects to head on out now, or nope, he's going to go ahead and check the rest of the chests in this room first.
And 1 Pede just not good enough, but can't really get away from this fire elemental, one of the unrunnables on the list.
And Philes has now joined DD Gaming here in the volcano, having done his overworld check. I believe that Philes has been to slightly more places in the overworld. Again, I don't think that DD Gaming went to go check the Titan or collect the rod. And so we are essentially even at this point after Philes checks some chests here.
Philes finding a second ribbon, so very good as far as equipment goes on the right side.
And we have a high 5 for our runners, and Argoyles with Glance, it looks like. There's a peek at a Wizogre now here on DD Gaming side. We'll see whether or not it has anything frightening.
Glance is a potentially interesting I believe that's the petrification one, right?
I don't know. There's gaze and glare and glance, and I always get them confused.
Yeah, so glance is the petrification one. In order to make the grind even safer, if I can get one of my party members petrified, I will definitely do that, and then use a soft potion later to take them out of that status. Works best with the white mage, but it's just safer having 2 people instead of just 1.
DD Gaming going ahead and warping back out, having checked all of those chests. He's going to go ahead and save his game, uses a house and a tent. The house recharges his magic, and so he's going to go ahead and go into the lower levels of the volcano now with a full complement of magic for his mages.
Good move using the tent as well. Reorganized his items so that the heal potions are on the bottom left side of the screen. Makes healing with those potions much quicker.
Bifu Curry, to answer your question where the floater was, I'll go right back to the beginning. The TNT was the first chest opened at the Temple of Fiends, and the floater was with the dwarves. And so the first 2 items were found before the runners even left the opening areas. And if you're not familiar with the strategy DD Gaming is using, he's running on those lava tiles on purpose because you cannot get an encounter while you're running on the lava tiles. It also doesn't advance the step counter. And so it's advantageous from a speed perspective to run across those and take the 1 damage per step and just heal up once you get down to the bottom. Here's our first look at an Agama. Let's see what they have for us today.
DD electing to take a sneak peek at what they have. Like just a punch.
So it's been a lightning start here for both of our players. We're 32 minutes in, and pretty much every free chest has been examined so far, except for the ones in the dungeons that we need to go take a peek at. With the equipment that we have here, Edge, we've got 2 ribbons. We've got a gold bracelet. It looks like leveling is going to be pretty safe here so far.
Yeah, this is going to be a very easy grind. You can stack the ribbon pro ring and gold bracelet onto the black belt and save some menuing time with potions, as opposed to just leaving him with the unarmed black belt bonus.
And then there's some different schools of thought as to, I'm assuming we're going to level black belts since both of them brought them along. You could level fighters instead, but I will presume that black belts will be the choice here today. There's some different schools of thoughts as to how high you would level a black belt in this kind of a round seed. Are you of the camp that you go 21, 22, or do you want to go into the 30s?
My thought is to hit 40 before leaving the volcano.
Okay, so you're going to do a solo black belt strategy and level all the way up.
Not all the way up, because 50 is the cap. 42 is about when you get another round of hits for the black belt. So that's a nice sort of cutoff. So I stop at 40 because I want to get 42 by the time I hit Temple of Fiends Revisited. And with the unrunnable encounters that I'm bound to face in Sea Shrine, I should pick up 42 by the time I get there.
Philes has finished his top floor exploration and will be joining DD Gaming down in the lower levels here shortly. DD Gaming is going to go ahead and take another look at the Agamas, and we'll start thinking about his level grinding here. Gets a nice hit on the Black Mage, assuming he wanted him dead.
Interesting move from DD Gaming's not healing up the black belt. I presume he wants to save potions by just using Life 2 as a full heal.
Also, it appears that this fighter up at the top of the party is pretty hardy with all of that equipment on. At some point, would we want to, take all that equipment away from him so that he can take a nice nap? Or I'm kind of curious as to what Didi has planned for us here. There goes the black belt.
Yeah, and I think that would be the right move. Unequip the armor on the characters that you don't want to participate in the grind. Yeah, and there's the Life 2 full heal. I think right now DD does not feel comfortable with his ability to get through an Agama fight in one round. And oh no, they have Brack.
Yeah, boy, they pulled that out of multiple encounters here. That's the first time we've seen that. So Ribbon protects against Brack, but it's not a 100% protection, right? There's a really slight chance that it could break through it.
Yeah. So if the critical failures in the RNG table are rolled, then that goes right through the ribbon.
Grimlock 1980, welcome. You're watching the Final Fantasy Randomizer. This is the NES edition of the Final Fantasy. This is the granddaddy of them all, so to speak. Of course, there are some conveniences that we've added to this randomizer to make it less painful to play. Anybody that played the old Final Fantasy remembers how painful it was to buy any items in the game, buying your 99 heal potions one at a time through 3 screens apiece. We've added a buy 10 feature, as well as a run fast feature to this Final Fantasy. And so for me, at least, those conveniences have made this the way to play for me. And there's Brack getting through and stoning the fighter, so DD Gaming will have a decision to make here. We see Philes over on the left side of the screen having his characters run through lava on purpose to get them nice and weak before he starts up his grind as well. So, Chad, it's looking likely that we're going to have a double Agama grind here for several minutes, which happens from time to time. If you have any questions for us here, we'll be happy to answer them for you. And I'll go ahead and throw up. I will place some links in the chat if you're interested in learning more about this randomizer and want to join our community. We have a very active Discord and a bunch of new players that are all sort of learning this game in a big group. And if you want to join us, you're more welcome. You're more than welcome to do so. Beefy Curry, to answer your question, this is the second round of the tournament.
So I think as things stand, the fear of Brack piercing the ribbon, although not very likely, would compel me to go down to the Red Dragon to see what they ended up rolling as far as stats and skills. And I would definitely do that about the time the black belt starts one-shotting things. And he's getting pretty close to that point.
Okay. The critical failures are three. What is it? 3 and 248.
I think it's 3 and 256.
So a remote possibility, but a possibility that would cause you to lose minutes upon minutes if it actually hit. So the Agama grind continues on both sides. Grimlock, I noticed your comment. I was about 8 years old when I played this game. I'm amazed I ever retained my sanity. I too was a young kid playing this for the first time, and it's amazing what we put up with. This game is a wonderful classic, but from a gameplay perspective, is a little painful. It has some bugs that cause large portions of the game to not work or just not work properly. It's a grindy old game. And so these conveniences that we've added to help speed the game up, and you can tweak the experience settings and tweak a whole lot of different mechanics in this have for me at least made this really the preferred way to play at this point.
It looks like DD has hit the portion of the grind where he is just one-shotting these Agamas, so he should go from level 20 to whatever his final level is much quicker now. And it looks like it's about time, too, because he is running very low on heal potions.
That's always sort of the eternal limiting factor here as to how much you can level, because you want your black belt to be at full health when you go to visit Carrie. My personal preference is I would like the black belt to be at least at around 650 to 700 hit points before I head down there to try this strategy, because you never know how hard she's going to hit, and you need to make sure that you have enough heal potions to get up to that point. Seawalker 777, has Thief been required yet? Yeah, there was a required Thief run last evening for one character, so not for any more than that yet. The next round of the tournament is round 3, and at that point we are going to start requiring 2 forced party members. And so your dreams of double Thief seeds are about to come true here in a couple weeks.
Ooh, paralysis going through the ribbon. Philes manages to get out. Okay, stunned again.
So DD Gaming escapes. How about Philes?
And Philes manages to make it
out
too, but say farewell to 15 heal potions.
And that's gonna take DD Gaming out of heal potions, and so he's not even gonna be able to top up. He's gonna be at around 340. He's got to make a run for it now if he's gonna do this.
Yeah, he can't even check the Red Dragon chest at this point. But he did keep the Petrified Fighter around.
Assuming he has he's gonna go look anyways. This is a brave strategy.
Vicious, yeah. If he gets into a Cerebus Wiz Ogre fight down here, it's pretty much over.
There's a whole lot down here that can kill him now. He has changed his mind, and he's going to run for carry now. Actually, I don't know where he's running now. Is he going to try to run out of here?
Yeah, it looks like he might be running for the exit, and I think this is a bad strategy. There are just as many nasty things on the way up. And by the time you get all the way up, you're going to have no health. The
DD Gaming scrambling for his life here at this point. He has a sort of an awful choice here of, do you run across the lava and lose health bit by bit, or do you risk encounters and risk losing a whole bunch at once?
Yeah, and I feel like this is a very bad play. He's significantly stronger than anything in the volcano right now, but they don't have to be very much stronger than you to hit you for 3 health, which is about what you'll have by the time you get back up there.
Choosing his squares very carefully here. He's at 54. He needs a hero run here. And he got one. Wow.
Yeah, before the giant hit, that was huge.
He's got 1 level to go. Oh,
yeah,
man.
This is it.
And that was a heroic effort within sight of the exit. Loses that progress. That's got to just be a killer of a feeling. He's going to go ahead and fly away and restock and figure out where he wants to go next.
Yeah, running out of those heal potions was an absolute killer. And now DD's best hope is for Philes to get petrified through the ribbon.
That's a distinct possibility. The RNG can sometimes do that to you. Philes is at about level 28 now. He still has a pretty good stock of heal potions here. So Philes' dangers are the getting bracked through the ribbon, or getting stun touched to death again, which is almost what happened to both of them here previously.
I think if I was Philes, I would definitely go see what the red dragon had.
So then to reset for DD Gaming Edge, at this point you've lost probably 15 to 20 minutes to a grind that ended poorly. If you're in a situation like this, and it could have just as easily been a bad stun touch or a bad break that killed him here, do you try to attempt the grind again, or do you try to run with a low levels party strat at this point and save some time?
The problem is, if you don't grind and your opponent does, you cannot complete the same areas that he completes in less time than they do. So you've almost kind of sealed your fate as far as being behind. So I think what I would do is continue the grind, finish that up, and then check areas in a different order from what I believe my opponent would do.
So with that one progression item still out there, the slab, we know it's not here in the volcano. Well, actually, we don't. Nobody's checked the red dragon chest yet, so there's still one chest outstanding. But your play would be to hopefully go where your opponent doesn't, in the hopes of finding that progression item first.
Yeah, so I would probably go all of the optional dungeons first.
Okay.
I mean, if I feel I'm that far behind, and I think that's a fair assessment, having failed a grind, your only way to catch up is if the last progression item you're looking for is going to be in sort of the last place that your opponent looks. And the Final Fantasy Randomizer players, the good ones, tend to not gamble on things being in, say, Ordeals or Ice Cave or Key Locked at bottom of a marsh.
So you sort of stick to your routing until something happens that causes you or prompts you to sort of peel away from it.
Yeah.
So Philes is... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I was just saying that Philes is going to go ahead and take a peek at this one last chest. Go ahead.
It's just trying to think of where you can pick up 20 minutes, and it would be in the situation of the racers right now. It would be if there was nothing in that you wanted in either Sea Shrine or Earth Cave. You could easily pick up 20 minutes on someone.
Okay. In that red dragon chest, he was guarding the third ribbon of the game. So I believe all 3 ribbons have been found at this point. And that is a change from other versions of Final Fantasy. It's my understanding that other later versions of this game added a 4th ribbon, but the original Final Fantasy still only has 3. And here's our first look at Carrie.
Post-class change, the 3 ribbons combined with the best fighter equipment was pretty good as far as covering all of the elemental resistances, though. The only thing you were missing on your fighter was immunity to Earth, Time, and status, I believe.
Okay.
That's with the assumption that your fighter had Dragon Armor, Aegis Shield, and Pro Ring.
So Philes takes down Carrie and is comfortably in the driver's seat of this seed so far. We're at 51 minutes. We have 1 progression item, and Philes has a pretty decently leveled black belt. I believe I saw level 32 there. And with a fighter to complement, he's going to have all the firepower he wants to go ahead and try to get through the rest of these dungeons. It's just a question now where he goes next.
And a very nice move from DD to rearrange his inventory again. He used the bottle at the bottom of the volcano and moved the heal potions into the correct spot.
Those are those little things that you watch runners do in order to save themselves time menuing that over the course of a 2-hour seed will save you several minutes. And that's, several minutes is a few extra encounters in Temple of Fiends Revisited in case that last dungeon in the game's really unpleasant to you.
Question in chat, who got the bottle? Both runners have the bottle now. Philes finding Nuke at level 7. We have Heal 3 at level 7, but not learnable without a class change, so he'll go skip that. Also finds the Pro Rings in, I believe, their vanilla location in Gaia.
That sounds right to me, although that price is not vanilla at 37,000.
Oh no.
So Philes is going to take a peek at the magic shops here in the backside of Gaia as well. Finds Fade finally sitting up there at level 8, and Sleep 2 Saber and Fire, which means that the Temper spell is still elusive for this seed.
Oh, it might be in one of the Anorak shops.
Either that, or it's with the Toga partiers up in Lifen. So Lone Wolf, how do class changes work? Class changes require finding the tail, which is an item hidden in one of these chests. Once you find the tail, you can go to King Bahamut in the Cardia Islands and trade that tail in for a class change, and then your players get your characters get a new sprite and new abilities. DD Gaming continuing his grind and keeping both of his fighters up at this point.
Question in chat: just upgrade just one character, or all of them? All of them get the class upgrade bonus.
And to go off of that, they don't even need to be alive. If they're dead, they will also magically class change while taking a nap. So we're nearing the home of Out of Bounds Bat, the battiest bat in the game and the happiest bat. Philes, let's see if we see him down here. We like Out of Bounds Bat because he's the only bat in the game that spawns outside of a regular area, and there's Philes looking for him, and we didn't see him that time.
Meanwhile, it looks like DD Gaming's is going back to his round 1 strategy and pair leveling. This is definitely going to be safer.
Philes picks up the cube, which will grant him access to the Sky Castle later in the game. Still looking for his last progression item of the game to call Go Mode. The slab is still yet to be found. So I put a link to the Discord in the chat there if anybody is interested in joining our community and learning how to run Final Fantasy Randomizer. We'd be more than happy to help you get set up. We're a fast-growing community. We have a lot of new players that are speedrunning the game with us now. We've had players that haven't played Final Fantasy in 20 plus years that are running with us now and enjoying themselves. So feel free to join us. Philes taking us into the Sea Shrine for the first time. We'll see whether he goes high or low. The mermaids are at the top of the Sea Shrine with a whole bunch of chests, but Kraken the Water Fiend is at the bottom of the Sea Shrine, and it looks like that's where Philes going to head first.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to clear out the... Let's see, I believe that's about 9 chests that are on the bottom level before Kraken. And since he has to go down that way anyway, it's not a bad move.
When I'm looking for my last progression item and I go into the Sea Shrine, I always just sort of make a snap decision as to which direction I'm going to go, and it always is the wrong decision.
I think there are arguments and merits to be made for both, and I personally don't know which one is best. I think I might be more inclined to go to the bottom level first if I have no access to warp or exit.
Okay.
That makes the top floors a little bit more time consuming to clear out.
So Relic2117 asks in chat, how long will DD grind? Looks like he's wrapping up now. He's gotten to a point where his heal pots have limited him again on how much he wants to grind. And he does need to check this chest down here, and assuming he can get past the red dragon, he'll be happy with the ribbon he finds.
Crunching the red dragon for 772.
And Philes runs into one of the unrunnable encounters here in the Sea Shrine, one of my least favorite in the entire game, with the Wiz Sahag and the 8 red Sahags. Not because they're terribly frightening in this round of the randomizer, although they can be in later ones, but just because they take so long.
Yeah, it's just a very time-consuming fight.
Indeedee is going to go ahead and pay a few extra visits to the red dragon, it looks like.
It looks like he's very efficient as far as leveling goes.
So if you're just joining us, this is the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament, and we're in the second round. This is a rematch between Philes25 and DD Gaming. Philes suffered a blue screen of death during their first attempt at this 3-game set, and so both players sportingly decided to just go ahead and wipe that one from the map, and this is a rematch. Right now, sort of a game reset. Philes is in the driver's seat at this point. DD Gaming suffered an untimely death during a grind in the Volcano that has set him back by probably about 15 minutes or so. But Philes is still looking for that last progression item to go ahead and call go mode. And the longer this goes that Philes doesn't find it, the more chances that DD Gaming is going to have to pull even. Here comes the ghost encounter, which is scary in any version of the randomizer. You can get up to 5 of them here in the Sea Shrine, and they tend to hit quite hard.
Yeah, these are one of the monsters that, referring back to Maya's comment earlier, things can start getting really scary at 140% stats, and ghosts with their already high attack stat, when they get 140% in there, that can be a very, very frightening fight.
It can put a screeching halt to your progress if a ghost gets a hold of, say, example, the white mage in a party. If that's your only access to healing, or your only access to resurrection, and that character goes down, then you kind of have a frightening moment trying to decide what on earth to do next. Philes is going to take another attempt here.
And now we'll see what DD Gaming decides to do.
DD Gaming seeing Nuke in the magic shop, hopefully trying to buy it. Unfortunately, he is locked by the class change, and won't be able to pick that up today. Philes is now in the down on the bottom of the Sea Shrine.
I think he was able to learn it, but he selected the spot where his black mage normally is and not where it currently was.
Oh,
he had shifted his party around for the grind and hasn't moved them back. And you can see the leveled black belt sitting in the back row.
Oh boy, so it was just a mistake of ordering in his party. Oh, that's a shame.
It won't be a critical mistake with it being in level 7. There won't be very many opportunities to cast it.
Picking up a cat claw, and it looks like he is going to, well, he's going to think about it.
Cat Claw much better with weapon stats off, since it is towards the back end of the table.
And not a bad weapon all around, really. Of course, the Black Wizard can use it. The Black Mage won't be able to. But at 22 attack and plus 35% to hit and a really nice crit rate on it. You could probably give that to a knight or a ninja, and they can do some damage with it if you don't have anything better. Again, though, it's not going to be a weapon that he can use unless he finds a class change.
And speaking of cats with claws, we have DD Gaming's running into a pack of tigers, but manages to get away. And it looks like he is going to head into the Sea Shrine as well. And, I mean, this is the correct play if you haven't had a setback, but I think if DD just continues to follow in Philes' footsteps, he is... this is basically Philes' race to lose.
Yeah, DD Gaming will have one little decision if he is indeed going to Sea Shrine, he'll have one decision as to whether or go high or low in Sea Shrine as well. That could change his fortune a little bit, but Philes is already going in that direction too, and so it won't pull him even if the slab ends up being with the mermaids this seed.
Philes did get pretty rough luck with the unrunnables, though, and DD might be able to make up some time on that. And speaking of which...
Yep, here we are again, 5 ghosts this time. He had a pretty fortunate order that time. Most of his party members attacked before any of the ghosts did, and so that encounter, while scary, he was able to get through it just fine. Meanwhile, I see that chat has started the Tyro versus Tyro States argument early this seed.
Come on, guys, we haven't even gone to get the chime yet.
There's a Sunsword pickup on Philes' side. That's the best weapon that a fighter can use if you don't find the Masamune. That's a great sword at 32 attack, and we'll probably see him equip that almost immediately.
Yeah, it's most certainly going to have more attacks for a fighter at his current level. Looks like he's moving the mage staff and the defense onto the fighter as well, and I think that's a good move. Mage staff will be good against further ghost encounters, and defense is great to have in the person in the first slot.
Opal bracelet sighting.
And Pro Cape, so some very, very nice mage armor available here.
There's only one opal bracelet in the game, and I can tell you, Edge, I've never been unhappy to see it. It's one of my favorite pieces of armor in the game. Can really beef up those little mages' defenses at 34 absorb.
If you get it early, it's generally better than any of the knight armor that you can find too, and that really cuts down on the amount of healing. You can throw it on the guy in the front row too.
And one more chest for Philes to check here, and no sign of the slab on this floor. He's got a couple more chests down here on the second level to look at.
And he can't remember if he checked that chest that he just walked by, and that's going to be very costly.
That looks like one of my strats right there. And be like, wait, did I go there or not? Yes, you did, Philes.
Times. It always feels bad. Ooh, and this is going to pay off. Finding the Mazmune.
Best sort of the game, no matter what version of the randomizer you're running. Always happy to find. That pretty much means that, in my estimation, probably a class change is not all that necessary at this point.
No, he hasn't found... Well, I mean, he has a lot of Opal equipment as well, but he can definitely complete the game with what he has right now.
Bifukuri wanting to know who is who. Hi, Bifukuri. This is Ikman Maya, but you can call me Maya. And then my co-commentator is Edgeworth with the deeper, more sultry voice.
Hello, hello.
Edge, do you want to take this question in chat where Talia is asking, what do keep permissions disabled and enabled and the gold EXP boost mean?
So the gold and experience boost means that enemies, when you kill them, give you 5 times as much experience as you normally would receive. So enemies that, like the Agamas, that give a lot of individual experience benefit very much from having the 5x boost. Keep permissions disabled/enabled refers to the spell permissions. And if you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to check some settings in the randomizer because I don't want to give you incorrect information.
Well, while he's taking a peek at that, Sock Monster 123, I'm assuming you're asking me whether or not I can do your German homework. I can do your German homework for you. However, you will get an F, so you might want to do it yourself. Philes now diving into Earth Cave to start checking the chests here at the top. You'll watch him do a strategy here where if he doesn't like what he sees, he just goes ahead and resets right back out. For example, oh, nope, he's going to keep that house.
So to answer the question about keep permissions, what that would do is keep the vanilla game's spell permissions, so Nuke would only be learnable by a black wizard, for example, as opposed to with it unchecked. If it's in a level 1 shop, you can learn it immediately. And another question in chat, what does incentivized ordeals/ice means? It means that the chests in ordeals and ice that carried plot progression items in vanilla would be guaranteed to have some important items in the randomizer, although they may not be plot progression items per se. Could be a key item like the adamant, or the tail, or it could be a very nice piece of equipment like a ribbon or the Mazmune. It looks like Philes is still making good time through the Earth Cave.
And so if you haven't done so already, go ahead and give both of our runners a follow for their entertainment. Philes and Didi are buddies in the randomizer chat. As most of us are pals with each other at this point, and so they're enjoying running against each other. So click that follow button on them. And while you're doing that, if you haven't followed Speed Gaming and followed Speed Gaming 2 or subscribed to either of those channels, you should do that too. And you should give lots of love to our overlord here, Fiesel, and give him a big thank you for allowing us some airtime to run this tournament.
Yeah, much thanks again to Fiesel for setting us up with a lot of airtime for this tournament.
Philes running into my least favorite encounter in the game, the Spectres and Geists, because they won't run away because they're undead and don't know to, and they tend to all attack first. He had a real nice hero run there.
Another question in chat: what is the Shack Tool chest of the game? I'm not familiar with Super Metroid. I'm assuming it's the difficult to get to chest, and it may be the one that Philes is going for right now. I really hate checking this chest.
So way over here on the east side of this floor. For me, the Shack Tool chest it's gonna hit somebody in this tournament. There's a chest that is locked by the Mystic Key in Sea Shrine, and it's one chest out of the entire dungeon that I'm waiting patiently for a progression item to land there, where somebody has to go get the Mystic Key and then come back to Sea Shrine just to check that one chest. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I would say if, especially if Crown is in Shrine, and then you leave and have to come back.
Ugh. And the bats are starting to get a little chippy with Philes. We have seen the bats block characters from progressing in this tournament and previous seeds. We'll see what happens with him here. We're also nearing the vampire, which is one of the mini bosses in Final Fantasy. We'll be greeting him shortly.
And if you're interested in seeing bats get in people's way, just look at any VOD of Jay Coper playing in this tournament.
It happens to him every seed. And you blink and you miss the vampire. I was looking away and didn't even see him. So everybody, I hope you said hello and goodbye to the vampire as he went by. Philes has, I believe, 8 more chests here in Earth Cave that he can check. DD Gaming is still back, meanwhile, back over in the Sea Shrine. The good news for DD Gaming is that the Philes has not yet found the slab. The bad news for DD Gaming is that we know the slab is not here where he is. And so Philes' lead is maintained so far at about 15 minutes.
Question in chat: do characters whiff in this version if they attack an enemy that dies the same turn? Yep, so you will see the ineffective attacks happen in this game as well.
So if you're interested in taking a peek at what the bats can do, I dropped the clip from the last time. Meanwhile, I hear some music, and that music usually means you found something good. They found the ruby, though, and the ruby is not quite what we're looking for.
It's kind of worst prize at this point, the ruby-locked ruby.
So you get all excited, you hear the music, and then womp womp, you just realize that you went to Zales and picked up a cheap ruby that nobody wants.
Well, I can think of one person that wants it, but we're not going to see him.
No, the Titan's going to go hungry. So Philes is through the Melmond Allbats, as our friend Artea, our fellow Circle of Sage member, calls them, and we are off to visit Lich, the Earth Fiend. This will be Philes' third orb. But he really can't get into the fourth dungeon yet because the slab is not found, which means that Philes needs to go off now into some of these optional dungeons. And it looks like his first pick is Ice Cave. Edge, do you agree with the choice here?
16 chests in Ice Cave as opposed to 13 in Marsh and 9 in Ordeals, so I like this move. And I say 13 because they've already found the crown. It would be even worse to go into Marsh Cave without that.
Right, Edge is referring that the bottom 3 chests in Marsh Cave are locked by the Mystic Key, which means you need to find the crown and do the crown shuffle in order to get that Mystic Key, in order to fully clear Marsh Cave. If you don't have that, then you're consigning yourself to 2 trips to Marsh Cave, which nobody likes even to go there once. The Ice Cave is not a very pleasant place to go, especially if you're earlier in a seed with these round 2 flags, because there are several enemies in here that can really put a hurting on you if they have some spells and skills that are not friendly to you. But right now, with Philes having 3 ribbons, he's got to be feeling pretty confident that there's not going to be much out here that can hurt him.
He's very well equipped to avoid any of the instant death shenanigans that you normally would see. And we find Vorpal in the incentivized chest.
And if you missed it there, Philes did a nice strategy that I only picked up after watching some Final Fantasy speedruns and playing this. You can drop down that hole in between the 3 chests and then immediately cast the warp spell and come right back up to the previous floor and be within reach of all 3 of those.
And Philes not even going to take any chances with that Frost Dragon, just punches him out.
DD Gaming, meanwhile, lights his second orb, takes down Kraken. He has another decision point to make here about where he wants to go. We're sort of running out of opportunities for him to pull even here, so we'll see if he chooses a dungeon that Philes hasn't done yet.
If DD Gaming's is going strictly by the chests per dungeon, then he's going to head to the Earth Cave as well. Looks like he remembers that he hasn't checked Titans yet.
On Philes' side, though, he's also has to be thinking at this point that he's cleared out the 3 main dungeons that he can get through, and still hasn't found the last progression item he needs. And so while we know he's on track, this is the part where there's a little voice in the back of your mind that is wondering if your opponent has done things in a different direction and is ahead of you.
Yeah, and I think in a 1 versus 1 matchup, this is where knowing the tendencies of your opponent really comes into play. And it looks like DD feels like he has to gamble at this point.
Yep, so DD Gaming joining Philes here in Ice Cave. The difference is that Philes has cleaned out Earth Cave and has that done. But DD Gaming, you're absolutely right, Edge. He's starting to take risks here a little bit, realizing that he probably lost time on that grind. Mages have cremate this seed, which is would be frightening at lower levels, not so much here. And here we are. That's the music, and that's the progression item we wanted to find. So a slab has been found for Philes, and I would call that a go mode, Edge.
Yeah, I would say as well. I'm curious as to why he checked that last chest and took an extra step. There isn't. There really is nothing else in the game that I would want, with the exception of the Power Gauntlet, and I don't think we've seen that yet.
And he's running out of here as well. Maybe maybe exit has not been found yet, and warping is the longer way out at that point.
Oh yeah, that's true. Warp would, even though it's lower level, it would take a little bit more time.
And so here, Philes will visit our favorite NPC, Dr. Un, who screams "a slab" with 2 exclamation points, and teaches him the Life-Inish language in seconds, just enough for him to go visit the Toga partiers.
Question in chat: if I got tail, would I even bother turning it in at this point? No.
And now everybody can start arguing about Tyros, because we are finally in Tyro country. Tyros, of course, being the gentle, majestic creatures that everyone loves in Final Fantasy Randomizer. Haven't seen any yet, though. They might be sleeping. So if DD Gaming, assuming he finds his slab here and doesn't suffer any mishaps, he will also find Go mode here, but he'll be 1 orb behind. So the difference in time that he can make up, if he chooses to do so, is that he'll be able to clear Earth Cave without having to go off in a million different directions to go ahead and find all of those far-flung chests. Whether or not he chooses to do so is something we're going to have to watch closely here. And meanwhile, Philes is booking it. He skipped all of the chests on the first floor, and we'll see what he does here on the second floor. But if he's done checking chests, he is going to make a run for it here.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for DD to catch up at this point.
We also have to... go ahead.
There's always Temple of Fiends, though.
Yeah, right. The great equalizer. Philes may feel he's a little bit behind here because he went to ice after doing dungeons and full clearing them. And so that little voice of panic might be screaming at him a little bit here to get a move on. But again, with the equipment he has to be feeling pretty confident at this point. Wow, okay. Vamps with nuke. Whoa.
Well, that's certainly going to make the air floor pretty interesting.
Wow, yeah. And there are vampires all through here yet, too.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome to Randomizer.
Just don't get ambushed.
And he finds the blue dragon with glare away from his normal spot. And so this isn't the trap tile. That was just a bad group 8 roll there.
Yep. So the old 3 and 256. It just occurred to me that DD could get nuked in the Earth Cave, too.
2 more vampires now. Philes says goodbye. So Philes knows the vampires are here, and we'll take measures. We're gonna have to watch DD Gaming closely here when he comes to that single vampire that that I told everybody to say hello to. Apparently, he's got some teeth this game.
And those guys show up in groups of 5 too, so we'll see if DD Gaming's fares as well as Philes did going through the Mirage Tower.
So the vampire approaches over in the Earth Cave. Philes is, meanwhile, running through Sky as quick as he can. So the good news there is that DD Gaming killed the vampire. The bad news is that he doesn't know they have nuke.
Also looked like he didn't have the Masmune equipped. Nope.
It's almost as if he noticed it himself there. Philes running across the Bridge of Destiny. Yeah, of course, Warmech lives here, and if you want to see Warmech, you have to ask for him.
Well, if he would have gotten here a little sooner, that Blue Dragon could have been a Warmech. Or no, Warmech is Group 7, I believe.
So Philes lights his last orb and has all of the requirements done to go ahead and finish up this game. We'll see him headed toward the Temple of Fiends Revisited shortly. We already know that we have a whole packs of vampires waiting for him down on the air floor, so we'll have to see how the RNG treats him. It's a relatively common encounter, too, if I recall correctly, down there, isn't it, Edge?
I'm sorry, which encounter?
The vampire encounter down on the air floor.
Yeah, that's I believe that's a group 1 through 4. So the
Uh-oh.
All right, time to buy supplies.
So we'll do a check here. Philes is going to enter Temple of Fiends Revisited in 1 hour and 33 minutes, and so this has been a pretty fast seed. We'll see what Temple of Fiends Revisited has to say, though. Yep, and I see chat talking about it a little bit. It's a good time to remind you that this is the second time that these runners are attempting this seed because Philes had a really untimely blue screen of death that killed off their first match, and so DD Gaming and Philes. DD Gaming ended up winning the seed, but didn't realize that his opponent had computer problems. Immediately agreed to just wipe the results clean and start over fresh. So that's a really, really nice opportunity to follow DD Gaming and follow Philes because they're really, really nice competitors with each other, and they deserve your love and support for it.
Yeah, a lot of good sportsmanship displayed all around in the last match. Even though Philes blue screened, he still tried to finish it out, made it very entertaining for the viewers, and DD was very nice in offering that regame. So please follow the runners.
Frostwolves with Frost, this seed, which is vanilla.
Not randomized enough. Entroper.
We'll have to shake the randomizer a little harder next time. DD Gaming sees a Tyra. Oh, no, don't you dare. Okay, good. He let him go.
DD Gaming's with the fake out again. He knows who's casting this.
So the frost giants and frost wolves finally fall for Philes there. That was a lengthy encounter and an unrunnable one that he couldn't get out of. And now on the floor with the worms, also unrunnable.
And DD dealing with zombies who are also unrunnable. So unpleasant times all around.
Philes making it down now to the earth floor. I haven't seen much from these enemies down here that are going to cause him too much consternation, but we're about to get down to our first revisited boss, which is Lich is up first. Down here, when we get down to the Temple of Fiends Revisited, there are three spells you're really worried about. There are 2 casts of Nuke that are shuffled amongst these bosses. 1 cast of Nuclear, which is a skill, which you also need to be careful of and respect. And if one boss gets 2 of those or all 3 of those, it can be curtains for your party members, especially the less hardy ones.
Looks like DD's heading into the Mirage Tower while Philes is about to beat up that old bag of bones called Lich.
Right. I had in a recent seed, I had a Kraken that opened with double nuke. You had the first and the second, and then I think I had like my black belt was barely alive, and then Kraken hit him for about 1,000 points of damage, and that was a reset.
Oh, and the Brack Agamas have returned, but with 3 ribbons. Not nearly as scary. And a very, very nice, uneventful walk to carry, which is both good and bad. Good that you didn't get encounters, bad that you might be getting them on the water floor.
Yeah, I think you'd rather have a heavy encounter floor here with the fire floor. The water floor is going to have waters, for one, amongst other things.
Comment in chat, DD is a monster. He killed a poor innocent Tyro. I'm trying to block that out right now and pretending it never happened.
For those of you that don't know, Edgeworth is sort of Papa Tyro around here, and is the leader of the Pro Tyro Brigade. Of course, our numbers are innumerable, and so if you want to pick the winning side, be Team Tyro.
A 3-water encounter. Not so bad. 4 now it's getting annoying.
So anybody that was disappointed to not see Warmech, here's your next chance. DD Gaming is about to join the Bridge of Destiny. And so remember that Warmech only comes out to those chats who spam that they want to see him. So again, here's another opportunity.
Uh-oh, big group of sorcerers, but they don't have trance this time. Or blizzard, or blaze, or any of the other nasty things that I've seen them have recently. No Warmech for either runner, runs invalidated.
Okay, here we go then. For Philes, we're going to visit Kraken next. And if you've not seen a Kraken at 140%, you should count yourself lucky, because Kraken can be just absolutely terrifying at that strength.
It looks like Philes isn't going to take any chances, fasts up the black belt and gets the Invis 2 off, so there's your buffs.
And very lucky for it.
Yeah, that Invis 2 definitely saved a life there.
And crunch goes Kraken. Forgets to heal up the...
Okay, here come the vampires.
Just the whiz vampires, though, so Philes getting a little bit lucky. And DD is about to enter Temple of Fiends himself.
Philes dealing with Tiamat next. Remember, we haven't seen any of those spells or skills that we're totally concerned about yet. Doesn't mean that the other fiends didn't have them, because Fist here is doing work, punching people to death. Down goes Tiamat, and so we have one fiend to go. Some zombies, D and whiz vamps. Philes needs to make it to the exit here, and he does.
And with the equipment he has on hand, this should be a pretty straightforward fight.
Here comes Chaos, the last boss of the game.
Oh, it turns out Mage is new Toxic. That's that's a little rough. DD going to see what the Gas Dragons have today, or maybe not. Good turn order.
Yeah, and D. Iros, I see your question in chat. Is this the rematch of the match with the Crash? Yes, it is. This is the rematch. Ah, there we found Nuclear.
But Philes stops the meltdown.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. 1 hour, 42 minutes, 53 seconds. That is a GG for Philes25, who takes the first round of this 3-game set with a really, really strong performance. He was never really in too much danger, it doesn't feel like. Edge, what do you think?
It seemed like he was pretty much in the driver's seat. The only dicey thing was doing the Agama grind with Brack, but seemed to not cast it very often and get the initiative in a lot of those fights. So good move from Philes, well executed grind, and good move to check the ice cave after clearing out all of the other dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Of course, DD Gaming is still working his way down through the Temple of Fiends now, and we'll keep an eye on him. In the meantime, we'll see if Philes wants to come in for a interview, so we can talk about the seed a little bit. If anybody has any questions for Philes, feel free to start asking those in chat, and we'll get them asked for you. DD Gaming about to head on into the Earth floor first. And Philes will be joining us for an interview shortly. So meanwhile, we'll watch DD Gaming take on Lich. He's got a Black Mage down. Looks like he'll wait to revive him until later. There are the Brack Agamas on his side. So while we're waiting for Philes to come join us, if you haven't followed the runners, the Philes25 and DD Gaming, make sure you go ahead and do that now. And also give a follow and a subscribe to Fiesel and Speed Gaming for all the love and support that he gives our randomizer, our community, and all the entertainment he brings to all of us pretty much day in and day out. So lots of props to Fiesel and lots of love to him. I heard I heard ding dongs, so I think that means Philes is here. Hi, Philes. GG to you.
Hey, thanks. Man, was I worried on that Tiamat floor that I was gonna get vampire nuked. Holy crap.
So that was my first question for you. Is so you found out that the vampires had nuke in Mirage Tower. Did you have to go change your under things after that?
Well, I mean, honestly, it ended up not being a big deal, but as soon as I saw that happen, I'm like, oh god, like I'm gonna get Tiamat 2 floor vampire ambushed, nuclear to death, and it's gonna be awful. But luckily, that ended up not being a problem. But yes, fresh underwear was in order.
1 hour, 42 minutes, 53 seconds. Tell us, kind of walk us through it and tell us how you felt.
Yeah, I was, the beginning of the seed was super free. Early TNT, early floater, didn't have to go to Marsh. And, whenever you're checking Cardia Islands and it's like 20 minutes in, you're having a good time on that seed. So at that point, I was like, alright, found the crown. It's time to check all the free chests, and after that, it was just, the slab hunt.
And so when you see TNT in the first chest of the game, and then you find the floater before you've even exited the inner sea there, how does that change your routing? What does it do to the direction you want to go and the order in which you tackle dungeons?
Oh yeah, well I mean, with the seed, whenever you have floater before the TNT, that means once you find the TNT, the seed is just kind of blows wide open. So I think I did what would be pretty much I kind of went to all the high percentage plays kind of down the list in order. Checked all the free stuff that you get with, with the floater. But once I got all the free quick easy chests, the choice was Volcano or Earth or Sea. And since I was kind of low level, didn't have a lot of money, the bottle was max price. So I decided to go to Volcano. Since I was only one item away, I went for the grind. Although the Agama grind was that was a little butt clenching. The Agamas could have at any point broken the ribbon protection and stoned my black belt, so that was a little worrisome. And stun touch was also a problem. I got a little lucky there.
I was curious if you had considered moving to the red Ds instead of the Agamas once you had gotten the grind going a little bit.
I had, because when I went up there later, I was like, okay, they weren't really that big of a deal, but I just kind of had a good thing going, and I was like, all right, it's either gonna happen or it's not. Let's just do the fast thing right here, and the Agama grind is nice there because you go from trap tile to trap tile, so there's less fights. Not that that's a huge deal with one extra step between fights, but I don't know. I just kind of rolled with it. I spent too long trying to get my white mage stoned for like the maximum safety, but then I realized it's because I forgot to unequip the ribbon, so that wasn't probably not going to happen. But it happened to my fighter, so that made the back end of the grind a little less risky. From the grind down to carry, I had 2 people up, which was pretty nice.
So we're watching now DD Gaming, who's nearing his chaos fight now. I'll let you know, Philes, a little bit of what made this seat the difference for you. DD Gaming came into the Volcano with a slight lead over you, maybe 3 encounters worth or so, not a huge ton. And then both of you started the Agama grind at roughly the same time. Maybe he was a touch ahead of you, but then unfortunately his heal pots gave out early, and then ran into a couple of nasty encounters, and then attempted a hero run back out of the Volcano all the way through all of the floors, and almost made it. He was on the top floor of the Volcano when the scorpions finally got him.
Oh no.
So that set him back on time, and then that was the pretty much the difference here. You maintained your lead throughout pretty much the rest of the game.
Did he do similar routing to me? Did he do like all the required dungeons and then ice as his first non-required, or?
He went ahead and matched you out of the Volcano. He matched you and did Sea Shrine afterwards. and so he didn't gain any time there. And then let's see, you went into Earth with your extra time. You finished that up, and then you both went to Ice Cave pretty much at the same time. But at that point, he was a dungeon behind.
Yeah, going to Ice Cave before Earth is not a terrible play if you have Warp, because I think you get those chests really quick, and Earth is just kind of a bee to clear out because of how spread out all the chests are. So that was a smart move on his part.
DD Gaming's finishing in second place, time of 1:50:49 according to SRL. So GG to DD. We'll try to get him into Discord in just a moment.
And so 1 hour and 50 minutes for a seed like this is super respectable. It was just that one series of bad encounters for DD Gaming's, and then his dramatic run for the exit. That unfortunately that gamble just didn't pay off for him. That's really the difference in time that you're seeing here. And DD's in the waiting room, so I'm going to go ahead and pull him in here now. And we're joined in the commentary room by DD Gaming. DD Gaming, 1 hour, 50 minutes, 48 seconds. GG to you.
Thanks.
So we've been talking a little bit with Philes about his experience. I guess the first place we have to go for you is back to the volcano. You want to talk to us a little bit about what happened and what was going through your mind there?
Well, I was really, really hoping I would manage to get out, but seems like a bold / Scorpion pack decided otherwise. That freaking Gamma that just stunned me for like 4 or 5 turns, well, it pretty much cost me the race. Though, there's no... I don't know if I would have won if I didn't die while running out of the volcano, because I don't think I would have taken the Ice Cave gamble. I would have probably run through the entire cave before going to Ice Cave, but because of this death, I felt I was behind, so I just tried, and turned out it was the right choice, but still, that still wasn't enough. GG, Philes.
Yeah, GG, man. I've been thinking a lot about that Ice Cave before Earth if you've only got one item missing. And, because if you have Warp, Ice Cave is kind of a quick go-through for a lot of chests, really. Even if it's not incentivized.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was definitely a smart move on your part.
So I'll tell you, DD Gaming, if you watch the VOD of this, you'll watch the entire chat rooms cheering you on as you were trying to run to the exits. It's unfortunate you were close, but you just didn't quite make it.
I was really, really close, but I knew if I run into another encounter, I was dead. I think my black belt was like around 20 to 50 health by then. So I was really, really hoping I wouldn't run into any encounter, but this RNG was pretty brutal, actually. There was no part where you ran into 3 fights in like 5 steps, but there were no long stretch either.
Yeah, it wasn't super manipulatable.
One question that came to my mind here for Philes real quick. So you full clear Earth, you full clear the Sea Shrine, and you full clear the volcano, and there's no slab to be found. And so now you need to start diving into optional dungeons. At that point, is there a note of panic or anything that you're thinking about that you're worried that you're behind at that point?
Oh yeah, I mean, with early floater seeds, with the seed being wide open, routing becomes the most important decision you make. And going for the high percentage plays and going for deciding to clear out dungeons. I knew I was losing time checking the faraway chests in the top of Sea Shrine and having to go all the way through Earth Cave and not finding the slab. So I knew I was potentially a little bit behind. So I think at that point I was going to do Ice, Marsh, and then Ordeals last. I'm just glad that the slab was in the first place I checked. But yeah, outside of that, nothing, definitely the panic would have steadily rose if I had cleared out Ice Cave and got nothing, and then cleared out Marsh and got nothing. Then yeah, I would have been increasingly more anxious.
And so I think the difference in this match, I think for us as commentators and for everybody in chat was the one wipe that DD Gaming had. DD, you were clinging to a lead of about a minute, maybe 90 seconds or so, and you were both grinding at pretty much the same pace at that point. When things just went all wrong. To be completely honest, I think both of you got stun touched at almost exactly the same time during your Agama grind. And so it went from, as commentators, it went from completely boring to totally like nerve-wracking in the span of seconds.
Well, I remember what had happened to me. I think I was like, I don't know, I was maybe mid-20s when it happened. And I was like, oh God, do I stick this out with the ribbon? And so I just decided to stick it out there and just max heal between every fight just in case the stun touch happened. But the Agamas did have, I mean, if they crit you, they were doing 100 damage. So, with only 25% chance to recover from stun between every round, I mean, it was definitely possible to die there.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I was over 300 HP when I got stun touch, but I just stayed paralyzed for like 4 or 5 turns and she just wore me down. I managed to get cured around like 11 HP, and I just killed that Agama before she killed me. I used every heal potion I have. I used my soft to cure my fighter, but I was thinking about going straight to carry, but when I ran into the 2 red giant that ambushed me, they almost killed the fighter, they almost killed the black belt, and at that point I knew there was no way I could get through carry, and I just tried to run out, but I got killed on the last floor.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That sounds like it could have easily gone either way here, so I look forward to our next matchup.
Yeah, so do I.
And so that'll wrap it up for us for this match. Philes takes the first of this 3-game set and takes a 1-0 lead into the next match. Next up here on Speed Gaming is the Earthbound tournament. So stick around for some hot Earthbound strats from 8 o'clock to 9:30 here. Our next Final Fantasy Randomizer match will be tomorrow evening on this channel on Speed Gaming 2, and we'll see you exactly at this time, actually, just 24 hours from now, for an 8 o'clock run of the Final Fantasy Randomizer again. So I think we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks to both of our runners, DD Gaming and Philes, if you want to say thank you and good evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. And I just need to know if Philes bought the cat claw.
If I bought the what?
The cat claw?
Oh, no, I did not.
Okay, I did. That's why you won.
Oh, that's karma. I should have lost then. How are we supposed to create our own memes if I forget about them? Where was it?
It was in Gaia, I think.
Oh, okay.
I just happened to run into it and I had the money, so there was no way I wasn't going to buy it.
Cat claw hype. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. You guys all have a good night, and stay tuned for some hot Earthbound action here.
And on behalf of my pal here on the mic, Edgeworth, it's always a pleasure to